Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're diving into something that literally affects every single one of us. Why are we always so stressed out? And more importantly, what exact daily habits can we use to heal our internal wiring? We're going to look at the fascinating biology behind our stress responses and how we can actively shift ourselves from a state of constant overdrive right back into balance.
So here's our roadmap for today. We'll be moving from the dense biology of our autonomic nervous system straight into the practical, evidence-based daily routines you can actually use to tune it up. We'll cover the brain-metabolism link, healing through diet, the power of movement, and finally, mindfulness and vagal tone. Let's get right into it.
Section 1. The autonomic nervous system. To start off, we really have to understand the physical machinery that's actually driving our stress.
Let me ask you this. Is your internal smoke detector constantly ringing? Think of your nervous system's sensory receptors as an internal alarm. When we feel distress, it's just a warning symptom. It's exactly like a smoke detector going off in your house. And as the source material brilliantly points out, smashing that alarm with a hammer is a lot less effective than, actually looking for the fire. We need to understand exactly why that alarm is ringing in the first place.
That alarm is your sympathetic nervous system. Now, it evolved for literal life-or-death moments, like fleeing a shark. But in our modern world, it gets triggered just the same by reading a stressful email, or sitting in awful traffic, or staring down a looming deadline. Our biology, honestly, can't always tell the difference between a physical threat and a psychological one.
So the absolutely crucial takeaway here is that this system, the sympathetic nervous system, is just our biological alarm. It is meant for short, intense bursts of action to keep us alive. It was never, ever designed to be in a constant state of daily overdrive. When we neglect to manage the system, our daily routines just turn into an endless cycle of chronic exhaustion.
When this alarm gets activated, it commands an immediate, full-body fight, flee, or freeze response. It tells your adrenals to release epinephrine, spikes your blood pressure, and jacks up your heart rate so you can move fast. It literally causes your liver to dump glucose into your bloodstream for quick energy. But here's the catch. Notice what it shuts down. It completely inhibits digestion and saliva production. All your energy gets shifted away from resting, digesting, and healing and is directed entirely toward immediate survival.
Now, it's super interesting to see how the sympathetic division directly opposes the resting parasympathetic side. It's like a tug of war. The sympathetic nerves branch out to accelerate your heart and inhibit your stomach, while the parasympathetic nerves do the exact opposite, to maintain our daily balance or homeostasis. A truly healthy nervous system shifts fluidly between these two states.
Moving right along to Section 2, the brain and metabolic link. Let's see how this nervous system overdrive is intricately tied to our metabolic health. Because as it turns out, chronic stress doesn't just make us feel anxious, it actually alters how our physical body processes energy. These studies brilliantly illustrate what is basically a bidirectional relationship between our brains and our metabolism. It's a two-way street. Chronic inflammation and impaired insulin signaling don't just harm your body. They act as a massive risk factor for mood and psychiatric disorders. For instance, looking at the PAN study, depression increases the risk of type 2 diabetes, and having diabetes elevates the risk of depression. Poor metabolic health is essentially keeping that internal smoke detector blaring 24/7.
And hey, we absolutely can't talk about the nervous system without talking about the gut. Your digestive tract houses the enteric nervous system. Get this, it contains more nerves than your spinal cord. The mix of microbes down there actively produces neurotransmitters, including over 90% of your body's serotonin and 50% of its dopamine. So when sympathetic overdrive shuts down your digestion, it is directly sabotaging the very system responsible for producing the chemicals that regulate your mood and keep you calm.
All right, Section 3. Healing through diet. Since the brain, the gut, and our metabolism are so intimately connected, our very first daily habit intervention starts right on our plates.
While traditional psychiatric medications are absolutely crucial for acute management, they often yield suboptimal long-term functional outcomes. And honestly, they can cause significant metabolic side effects like weight gain and insulin resistance. On the flip side, metabolic interventions, like specific dietary changes, target the root biological imbalances. They go right after the systemic inflammation and poor mitochondrial function that are keeping your nervous system locked in that stressed-out state.
The results of these metabolic interventions can be staggering. In a recent 4-month pilot trial by Dr. Sethi and colleagues, an unbelievable 100% of fully adherent participants with bipolar disorder achieved a recovered or recovering state simply by utilizing a ketogenic diet.
They limited carbs to address insulin resistance, and their clinical improvements strongly correlated with actual metabolic healing.
In that exact same study, participants with schizophrenia saw a 32% reduction in psychotic symptoms, and this happened alongside massive reductions in visceral fat, lower triglycerides, and a 27% drop in insulin resistance. Just by changing their daily fuel source, they rapidly improved their mood and psychiatric symptoms. It's absolute proof that we can tune our nervous systems through our metabolism.
So how do we actually apply this? Well, to start healing your nervous system, try tweaking your daily routine to prioritize natural, alkalizing whole foods and high-quality proteins. If you're dealing with insulin resistance, definitely consider restricting carbohydrates. And this is a big one. Incorporate fermented foods like yogurt, kefir, or buttermilk. Remember that enteric nervous system we just talked about? Cultured foods help replenish that gut microbiome, supporting the production of those vital, mood-stabilizing neurotransmitters.
Section 4, Movement for Neural Balance. Beyond diet, we literally have to physically move that stress energy out of our heads and into our bodies. We have to signal to our nervous system that the threat has finally passed.
Mind-body exercises like Tai Chi or yoga are incredible game changers for this. They combine deep, slow breathing with soothing physical movements. The science shows these practices significantly increase parasympathetic vagal tone and regulate that sympathetic vagal balance we talked about earlier. They actually decrease pro-inflammatory cytokines like IL-6 and TNF-alpha, which simply put, are chemical markers of stress in your blood. This effectively lowers your biological stress response and relieves chronic pain.
But hey, if Tai Chi isn't your thing, a simple daily aerobic exercise routine works wonders too. We're talking at least 150 minutes a week of brisk walking, cycling, or swimming. This kind of consistency directly improves your heart rate variability, or HRV. A higher HRV is a direct, measurable marker of a healthier, more adaptable vagus nerve. It basically means your body can seamlessly transition from stress right back to relaxation.
Finally, let's wrap up with Section 5, Mindfulness and Vagal Tone. Let's explore how we can intentionally power down that alarm system through stillness and connection.
Look, you don't need to spend hours meditating on a mountaintop. Just 5 to 10 minutes of respiratory focus daily can create massive shifts. Slow, deep breathing actually regulates what are called Traub Herring waves, which are just natural rhythmic fluctuations in your blood pressure. This physically forces your body out of the fight-or-flight state and into a calm, parasympathetic rhythm.
Let's see how this builds into our everyday interactions too. Believe it or not, your social calendar is a medical intervention. The vagus nerve is heavily involved in social engagement. Maintaining positive facial expressions, maintaining warm, safe eye contact, and engaging in safe physical touch like hugging a loved one, all of these biologically stimulate calming vagal pathways, effectively buffering your nervous system against stress.
I absolutely love this perspective from the source material. Our nervous system isn't an enemy to be drugged into submission or ignored until it breaks. It is a highly sensitive instrument. When we feed it well, protect it from constant overstimulation, and tune it with these daily practices, it rewards us with a life of exquisite quality and resilient energy.
So, I'll leave you with this question. Whether it's adding a cup of kefir to your morning routine, taking a brisk 20-minute walk, or just pausing for 5 minutes of deep breathing right now, what is the one thing you will do today to silence that smoke detector, step out of overdrive, and finally heal your nervous system? Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you next time.